Greetings. Introducing Voices of Festival, brand new podcast series from the International African Arts Festival, created to keep you connected as we count down to our 55th year of culture, creativity, and community. Each week, hear directly from the artists, dancers, musicians, vendors, and community members who make this festival an unforgettable experience. Tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. on YouTube for Voices of Festival. Celebrate the culture, feel the rhythm, be part of the journey. Greetings, 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 and welcome to Voices of Festival. Barigani, Hotep, Salam Alaikum, Alafia, Akwaba. We are so pleased to have you here with us. I'm joined by our two co-hosts, Naima Akinwole Bandeli and Sakina Nzinga Kanad. And it's just good to have you all. This is our continuation of the Voices of Festival. It allows festival to stay connected with our community, with our folks, but it also builds relationships. And I know some of you who've been to festival wonder, well, how do they do all that they do? Well, our next guest tonight is JUMAAANE, who is really responsible for the coordination of the artists that perform as well as their selection. You just come out the festival and you enjoy it, but the amount of work that goes on to make it possible is phenomenal. Want to welcome JUMAAANE. Hey, JUMAAANE, welcome, man. Listen, let's jump into this real quick. How long have you been doing production work?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I was kind of born into festivals, so I think, does that count? Does it count when I was 2 and 3 running around on the stage at, on the block?
You know what, son? The reason I asked you, though, was because I knew you had spent a lot of time in Liberia. So I wasn't certain if you had been at festival for a good while.
So, yeah, I mean, I left in 81. So, born 77, left in 81. Came back in 90 and worked at festival, maintenance, security in the 90s while I was in high school.
Nice.
As far as my production background goes, professionally, I would say since 2005 from major concert production. So about 20 years.
Did festival impact you going in that direction?
Oh, absolutely. Festival kind of guided a lot of the entertainment, music, and cultural experiences that I've chosen to kind of point my life towards. I've been around in my entire life. We were doing the talent shows and the dances, and then the fashion shows that the mamas would make our clothes for the fashion shows. So yeah, I carried that forward. I actually did that stuff in high school with friends of mine, even starting our own organization in high school, which was a carryover from growing up in the East.
What was the organization?
It's called IBM. It was an Intelligent Black Men, Boys and Girls High School. We had another name that we had to change because they said it was, what's the difference between you guys and the gang? So IBM. We got it officially sanctioned. We used to have just a soldier show up with us. We used to go to elementary schools and speak with kids. We got to go to Rikers Island and speak with the prisoners there about things. Myself, my brother, Sadufo, friends of ours, Jerry, and then a brother, a teacher named Steve. I forget Steve's last name at Boys and Girls back in 1991, 92. Yeah. So, yeah, all of that was carryover from the organizational structure and experiences of the East and the festival.
Now, I know you wear another hat, and I'm going to have Naima and Sakina jump in a minute, but you also coordinate a major basketball. Well, you're related to a major basketball tournament with the historically black colleges. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, it's the longest standing historically black college tournament, the CIAA. And I don't want to get the years wrong, but probably about 405 years old, if I'm not
Wow.
mistaken, full tournament time. But the basketball tournament, I believe, is, don't get me wrong, last year we celebrated 50 years of women's basketball. And I think it was like 70 something years of men's basketball prior to that. I am the talent and entertainment coordinator for the CIAA basketball tournament. I've been doing that officially for the past 10 years. Prior to that, I've been associated. I went to Shaw University in '95. I've been CIAA HBCU culture all my life from my dad, Virginia Union, my brother's Morgan. So, yeah, that's my official capacity. And official capacity is still currently the entertainment special guest director for the CIAA basketball.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we mention that your Baba, Brother Baba JUMAAANE, was one of the pillars of the East, and of course the festival itself, and along with your mother, folks who held the Hurusasa together, and were just very instrumental in our journey. Of our team, the person that is always asking about the future is Naima. So, Naima, you want to jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. Peace, Bajamani. Something I always appreciate that you bring into conversation. You know, you be trying to keep us on our toes, making sure our goals are very clear. And we do have some very clear goals for festival, obviously. But what are some visions that you have for festival and ways that it can grow, ways that, you know, can really be honored and remembered in some really significant ways?
Well, the first thing is sustainability. I think my focus is sustainability. I was born into the East movement, like literally born into it. Like it was growing, moving along. My older brothers and sisters were part of it. My mother was a director of Imani Daycare, and since I was born, literally, I went from the hospital home a few weeks, and then was in Imani Daycare. And so when I say I was born into this, I mean literally born into this. But some of our institutions have challenges with sustainability. And that's because part of that is the adaptability of the organizational structures to evolve and grow with the times and the environment around us. This is not our homeland. This is not our kind of infrastructure. And so how do we build something sustainable in infrastructure that's not designed to sustain anyone? And so that's one of my visions, trying to figure out how we remain relevant, how we remain sustainable, and how we remain focused on growth and progression. Mm-hmm. So, does that answer it, or do I need to go into how I'm doing it?
No, it does a really good job.
All right, Sakina, all yours.
I'm always interested in letting our people know more about the history of festivals. So you being born into the East is like so cool, and you getting your first experience in production at festival. There are many who have that same, journey and story. So my question to you is, since you were there in the 90s as, a youth going teenager, what was your favorite year of festival? What was your favorite moment that you can recall?
I would say 93. Probably. Okay. I think they had finally let me do security. Before that, I could do maintenance and any kind of utility work that, needed to be done running around. But 93, I believe in 93, I was able to do security for the first year. And yeah, that was fun because, got to tell people what to do, got to hold down the gate, got to sneak the people that wanted in. But yeah, that was fun. I think that was the first time where, I was given some autonomy in my role with festival. And I believe that stands out.
Can you tell me what it was like back then? Because you're talking about the boys and girls days,
Absolutely, man. Man, they had they used to take the tennis courts and put the horses over there. I'm sorry, they had the horses in the parking lot on one side. You had, some other activity like it, and everything was in that field, in that fence, and it was like being at a big family reunion. Once people got in the fence with the kids, they kind of like just. I heard Jose talk about just running free. It's like, you know what, you're good to go. You're safe. This is a safe space for you. You're home. It felt like a family gathering.
It really was. Back in the 90s, my mother was a vendor for a natural hair salon, and we used to sleep in there. And thank you for being security, because you were one of the people that made the field safe at night, overnight. Like, people would leave their merchandise in the tents overnight and for a 3-day period of time, and we knew that nothing would happen to our things. So that was, I commend you, salute you for that. Thank you.
I appreciate it, but that was work. I'll tell you, that comes back to community. So Nana Jose talked about Baba Abubadika, Sonny Carson. People like him and other members of the community were very helpful in making sure that the community that wasn't in the fence was aware of what was going on there, and so to make it a safe space and communicate it with the folks that weren't in the fence in the surrounding neighborhoods, the projects. They were aware. There was communication. There was outreach to those folks that, listen, this is what this is about, and we expect y'all to uphold this energy and keep us safe as well. And I believe that carried forward, and it showed, because once you were on the grounds, you was on sacred grounds. Like, it wasn't a whole lot of nonsense happening in or around that immediate area while that festival was going on. So that was about the community and the outreach beyond just that family unit itself.
JUMAANE, I'm glad you said that, because your dad, Baba, was very close with a family in that area, the Niles family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was part of what you were talking about in terms of their engagement, because I know they helped us with parking and some other things. You want to just talk a bit about that?
Man, you get me going down the roads and talking about the Niles, and it goes a deep way. They played basketball at Virginia Union with my father. Yeah, the Niles brothers. I actually was able to get into college because of Butch Niles. He was able to get me into Shaw University because he used to have the Vanguard program, and they would do tours at CIAA schools. Because, in New York, we didn't get a lot of exposure to HBCU and black college culture. I mean, for most people, school days was their first real experience with even knowing what a fraternity was. If you're from New York, you worried about basketball, running around playing, like everything, Skelly, whatever. You weren't thinking about HBCU culture, and a lot of, especially, the schools weren't really pushing that. And so Butch Niles and his Vanguard program was very instrumental in making sure that children from New York and Brooklyn had exposure to CIAA schools, HBCUs, and different parts of the country. And they just had a very strong, long-standing relationship with the community, and they were very influential and would help in all the ways to make things happen. They didn't have to be part of the organization, but they supported and and helped the movement forward.
Absolutely. Listen, I've been instructed by our executive producer here to address this issue. You are the person that is very much responsible for who shows up on that stage and who is seen by thousands of people. But he says, however, you're a person that doesn't like to be on the camera.
That's it.
So we've got a little clip for you. Go ahead, Beware.
Is that my hand up?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I see Beware now. I was like trying to
Yeah.
run.
There you go. But listen, real quick, we're preparing for 55. As in the role that you play, what's going through your mind now? Now, I know we're like about 8 months out, but as a person who designs these programs, what's your thought process right now?
I try to focus on, I don't look too far ahead of beyond where we are. And where we are is like, what do we do well? I try to focus on what we do well, what have we done well, and how can we improve on that. And once we have kind of a foundation of the things that we do well, then I try to add other elements that are new and creative, so that we have some kind of new energy, some new perspective, and some new experience. Because I don't want it to be a thing that we do this well and we continue to just do it over and over again. What we do well can be our foundation. For instance, the dance troops. That's something we do well. It's something that's extremely impactful. Doesn't matter which artist we have on that stage and how well they do, how great of a performance. The energy that happens when we close out with the dance troops is just something you can't duplicate with any other kind of performance or any kind of act that I've been able to identify. So there are things that are foundational that shall remain. But once I understand what we have for our foundation for this coming festival, then I try to look for other areas where we can bring in some new energy, some youthful energy, and just something creative and different than we have, so that we have our foundation, we have the sustaining power, but we have the potential for growth and new ideas. And for example of that would be Omari and Brother JUMAANE and their performance. The concept, the idea behind that was JUMAANE has been holding down our Muntu stage for years, but he's a dope artist. And then Omari as a board member for years, but he's a great artist. And I'm like, let's get our people in this space as well. And we can grow our audience with what we have and then add new elements to that. So yes, it's to have the foundational pieces secured and then add new elements that kind of take us forward. So that's my vision without any specifics about who and where, but that's how I kind of approach this.
I want to bring in Naima because several shows ago, we paid tribute to Mama Assata Shakur. And one of the things that Naima talked about with that experience was the linkage of the hip hop and other genres. Naima, you want to raise that with JUMAANE?
Yeah, I was also going to ask a specific question concerning some of the artists who have performed. I was going to ask you who some of your favorite performances have been over the past 54 years. But we did talk a bit earlier about how Mama Assata was the person who gave the charge to organizers in Cuba back in the day to find a way to bridge hip hop culture with the struggle to bring home political prisoners. And that's really how Black August as a benefit concert started, to bring awareness and to raise money for political prisoners. And it was very, very successful in that. And I feel very similar about Festival and some of the folks that they had on stage. There's a lot of crossover of folks who performed at Black August and folks who performed at Festival back in the 90s. And so I'm really curious what your thoughts are about like how that legacy can continue, who some of your dream people are to have perform at Festival. And I also do want to say that I really, really enjoyed a lot of the lineup this year. You mentioned some of the things we do well, and it is the cultural institution shows. Those are always really the highlights of Festival. And then it's incredible when you have people who grew up in the movement, who have artistic skills, put on amazing, amazing shows. And a lot of their children who are now adults and have children of their own were performing. So folks like Talib Kweli, I don't know if I mentioned him before, but really powerful rapper, very conscious. His daughter, Deanna, is one of my really close friends growing up, and seeing her perform at Festival this year was incredible and it meant everything. So, you know, I didn't know if you like made that connection, but I wanted to hear you talk more about some of the food you drinks for a performer.
Talib performed at festival. You know,
So he had to. He had to.
hmm? Yeah, yeah, he performed. I remember Talib and Boys and Girls. You know,
Yeah, Black Star made their debut there.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I remember them. Yeah, so I remember that. I was there for that. That was actually one of my favorite performances.
Mhm.
You know, and you know that would stand out to me. But yes, it's carrying the legacy forward and to see like his daughter there. And so beyond that, I'm being honest with you, just that whole piece with being able to kind of transition or work with JUMAANE, bring a dope lineup with the artists that he kind of worked with to put that performance on. That's actually probably one of my favorite moments. Because I believe that is the manifestation of advancedness forward. So that would stand out as my favorite.
All right, listen, we're going to take a little recap of Festival 54 right now. Beware. Yes, Bongi Duma from South Africa, and actually performing a Masakela piece for the release of Nelson Mandela.
Can I
Sakina,
speak to something on that real quick?
yes, sir.
That brother took off from the Lion King to perform for us.
Mm.
You know, and it's not because we paid him some great sum of money, but he understood the cultural significance of him having his own platform on that stage. Whereas
Wow.
in the Lion King, he has one of the biggest stages in the world, and he gets compensated very well for that.
Yeah, yeah.
But what you get at festival can't be duplicated anywhere else. So I just wanted to speak to that. And he's a great artist. He's a great person to work with. You know, good brother, good spirit, and it was a joy and pleasure working with him and his people. So just wanted to speak to that and acknowledge what he did to make that performance happen for us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Somebody who's watching this wants to perform. What should they do, Jumani?
They should email the festival, the International African Art Festival. Go to the website, iafestival.org. There's a contact for you there. And just put in your subject line, you know, performance at upcoming festival. That way, when they do a search, I just put perform. I do a search with perform, and everything that says perform pops up at the top of the list, and I just go through that. And so, yeah, just put it in the subject line that you would like to perform the festival.
And can you real quick just can you list any major artists that you know off the top of your head that have graced festival stage, and just really speak to the impact of festival stage? Like,
Uh,
you speak to someone knowing the importance or the power of our stage, but there's so many people that have blessed that
you
stage over the years.
got Kuti, you got the Lauren Hills, you got, oh God, we did Black Star, we've had, help me out, Baba Adiemi.
Hey, listen, we had this issue on our first show with Baba Segun. So he sent me a list. So you hit
Thank
a
you.
couple of them, but the Mighty Sparrow, the Last Poets, Eddie Palmieri, Ibaye just passed, Randy Weston, Chief Bay, Talib Kweli, Ravi Coltrane, Iyanla Van Zant, Roy Hargrove, Mtume, Pharaoh Sanders. Well, actually, not Pharaoh, but Pharaoh's son. I don't know if you remember that phenomenal program that he did, the tribute to him. Angela Wimbush, Nana Camille Yarborough, Tito Puente. So we've had some, and I think this is important. Hezekiah Walker and Love Fellowship Crusade, and I pointed him out because he attended Boys and Girls High, and it was at the time that he hit with us that he was putting his group together. So we made sure we got a list.
I want to give an honorable mention to Brother Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yes, yes. Ibaye.
He is with the ancestors now. He did just pass as well. But he
Yes.
graced us on the stage the previous year before his passing. So that was a very recent performance. And, of course, we all grew up with Theo Huxtable. And to
Yeah.
have 1 hour stage as a musical artist and an MC and a musician, which he was
Wow.
excellent at all of the above, and a great spoken word poet. I mean, a spoken word artist. I mean, just a good all around brother, and it was an honor and pleasure to work with him and have him on our stage before he made his transition.
Yeah, yeah. We've got to pull up one of the clips of him. Jumani, want to thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing with our audience what it takes to put on a festival. And it is no joke. And I know that the time that you take before and after festival is quite time consuming. But I also want to recognize you for what you bring in terms of organizational development. Our festival has been blessed. They say creator loves fools and little children. And fools we have been for many years, for 54 years, but we've been blessed. And your presence is significant, just as the presence of our producer, Beware, because you, and I don't know what generation they call you, man, because they keep coming up with this
He
generation.
would be considered Generation X.
Okay, you are
I'm a
X.
millennial,
That's a
and I'm
good
in this
generation.
Generation Z.
But what you bring is significant because one of the foundations of Uhuru Sasa was a book entitled "Not Yet Uhuru" by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. But what he talks about is that in struggle, there is a challenge that develops between people who have been in the trenches and the people that have ideas, but we're not in the trenches. But you and Beware and others have been in the trenches with us, but you now also have the skills that will help us move to another level. This podcast is made possible by the vision of Beware, Damon Beware Van Zant. And people don't see what you do in those board meetings and how you are trying to move us to a whole nother level of accountability and some system structure. And I want to publicly acknowledge you and thank you for that, but to also let folk know who have been on the same journey as you, who were East babies, etc., who have some skills that they can share that we need them to step up. And you are really epitomizing what that looks like. You give of yourself. You travel from North Carolina, etc., to to be present. Listen, as our time is running out, but real quick, just share with us, you had a real tragedy in terms of your institution in North Carolina.
Hmm.
What's happened with that?
My business, my building, 13 years just burned down in this past March, right before festival. It housed my offices, and I had an apartment up there right in downtown Charlotte, or right on the edge of downtown Charlotte. 15,000 square foot structure that
Oh my
was
goodness.
a bar, nightclub, restaurant, and it had apartment and my offices. So all of that, yeah, I lost that this year. But that, structures, physical form, return to dust. But I want to say thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement, the recognition, and the praise, because yeah, it's part of my purpose. It's what I was raised in, and I hope to continue to do. I hope to be a useful asset to the mission of festival as we move forward, and as we bring in new energy and the Naimas and the Sakinas, the millennials, the Z's, and the Y's and Alphas,
Yeah.
whatever we come to, right?
Wherever
But
they fall.
this is it. We're looking at 4 different generations on here if we count those different titles, right? on this screen right now, I see 4 different generations in this, so to speak. So
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? It's interesting you say that, because you don't have a what do you call that? Somebody that shadows you, and we may need to do that so they can see what it takes to put this festival on. And because a lot of us learn not from sitting in the classroom. I learned from going to meetings with G2 and seeing him either disrupt them or give them some leadership. And so what you bring is really significant, because it ain't just off the top of your head. You've got skills that you have developed. So we hope that we can have some of our young people learn from you and be able to follow in your footsteps. Want to thank you much. Continue to bring to the festival all that you have to offer. You are a blessing to your Baba. You honor him and everything that you do, and of course your mother also. So Jumatatu Torrance, thank you so much for being with us, man, and be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Peace and blessings.
Everyone here, we just want to reiterate to like, comment, and subscribe. We want to like, comment, and to subscribe to our platform, Voices of Festival. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think, your thoughts, and we also to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, IAA Festival, at IAA Festival. And if you are an artist and you're interested in performing, you can go to our website, iaafestival.org.
All right. Naima, Sakina, thank you all much.
Thank
Enjoyed
you.
doing this. This was a really interesting one, because, this is the mix. The festival babies, some older, some younger, which is what you all are.
So
Thank you so
that
much.
is the mission for us to
Yeah.
see all of the generations. So thank you.
All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed. Till the next time. Peace.
All right. Peace.